With the two of them being Nickelodeon's two biggest cartoons for years, it's no surprise that SpongeBob and the Fairly OddParents will occasionally have similar plots. A lot of the time, this is due to them doing common kids show plots, such as the classic reading someone else's diary plot. Both of these shows have their own versions of this story. Let's see which one did it better. Let's first look at the SpongeBob episode. This episode is about Squidward finding SpongeBob's diary. He then reads it to everyone and uses it to embarrass him. When SpongeBob finds out and gets upset, everyone turns on Squidward. SpongeBob then comes back and tells Squidward that he's published his diary and has forgiven Squidward. However, he mentions that he has a secret personal diary that Squidward then reads. And SpongeBob is upset again, and the townspeople are mad at Squidward again, and that's the end of the episode. So, I'll be honest, I really don't like this episode. I will start with one positive though, and that is that there were a few decent jokes in the episode. Not a lot, but there were some. I could have definitely done without the diaper joke though.
A ketchup packet! That'll go great on this old diaper.
However, one thing I didn't find funny were SpongeBob's secrets that Squidward read. They all come off as more weird than anything. And when those are kind of the main joke of the episode, me not finding them funny is a bit of an issue. This episode also spawned the mocking SpongeBob meme, which out of every SpongeBob meme, this is the one I got tired of the quickest. Yet it's still used heavily in merchandise to this day, even though I don't know a single real person who still finds it funny. This episode is also just kind of poorly written in some aspects. The big one that comes to mind is the scene when SpongeBob runs out of the Krusty Krab and the townspeople are then shocked by this and get mad at Squidward. Despite them hearing Squidward read from it, and seeing and laughing at the things Squidward makes SpongeBob do with the knowledge from the book, everyone also gets mad at Squidward for something they all participated in. And I don't really know if this is meant to be a joke or just bad writing. This line makes me think it's meant to be the joke.
Diary reader!
What? You read it too?
Oh, sure. Blame everyone but yourself.
But if it is, they don't push it far enough for it to ever become funny. This episode is also just not fun to watch. And with a show like SpongeBob, that's a pretty big problem. But the episode is just kind of negative, because it just ends on a bad note. SpongeBob is upset and Squidward learns nothing. I feel like episodes with this plot are usually supposed to teach some kind of lesson about not invading someone else's privacy. And while I don't think this episode or any episode needs a lesson, the morally wrong character shouldn't be the one who wins at the end. And with all the complaints people have about Squidward suffering for no reason in plenty of episodes, it's weird that one of the only episodes where he kind of gets a win at the end is one of the few where he actually does something wrong. This is one of my least favorite episodes of the season. However, it is overshadowed by an even worse episode being right before it. But this is still a pretty bad episode. Let's move on to the Fairly OddParents episode. In this episode, Vicky forces Timmy to reveal his secrets to her, and after this, she uses these secrets against him. Timmy wishes for her diary and uses it to destroy Vicky's chances with a guy she has a crush on. It's widely considered that the Fairly OddParents' golden age is the first 5 seasons, right before poof. And due to Fairly OddParents and SpongeBob's similar reputations as great shows that gradually got worse and worse as Nickelodeon forced them to keep on going and going, I feel like I sometimes have too high of expectations for Fairly OddParents episodes from this quote-unquote golden age, which is the era this episode comes from, because I expect them to be just as funny as classic SpongeBob episodes, and they just aren't. The episode has 1 or 2 jokes that were funny, but most of the humor is just very kids show-ish. Jokes about boogers and things of that nature, as well as the Fairly OddParents staple of the same joke being used 1,000 times even though it wasn't really funny the first time.
We Brits adore the smell of skunk. It reminds us of the hunt. They remind us of the hunt.
It reminds me of the hunt! I'm scared of the hunt!
It reminds me of the hunt. It reminds me nothing of the hunt.
Gentlemen, time for the hunt!
Dear diary, I'm scared of the hunt!
Oh well, tally-ho.
While the show isn't too funny, the strength of the show for me is just kind of the charm of the show, which is luckily intact in this episode. One thing I also like about early Fairly OddParents is the fact that a lot of times they'll give the fairies differing views on Timmy's wish. Like in this episode, Cosmo thinks what Timmy's doing is wrong, while Wanda shares his desire for revenge. It gives each of them more to do than just granting wishes. This episode's morality makes a lot more sense than SpongeBob's. Timmy gets punished for reading Vicky's diary. However, she doesn't win either because she's just overall an awful person. Neither of these episodes are amazing, honestly, but the Fairly OddParents episode is better because it's an okay episode put up against a pretty bad one. Neither are especially funny, but Fairly OddParents' is a better, if standard story, while SpongeBob's is an episode that still leaves me scratching my head as to what the point of it even was.